doing well. Greetings to Professor Samia and to the people around you. Thank you very much for making it to this live on time as usual, as is your habit, as is habitual. سيبوكني في محمد أهلا وسهلا. How are you, my dear friend? I hope everything is going well with you. Natalie is also here. Hello. I hope you are doing well. Miriam is sending us a message. Hello, Professor. Here I'm again. I came on time, as you told me yesterday, to work on the diagram of the sentence. All right. Yeah. Okay. 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 So that's the. We will do that, Miriam, again, and so let me just perhaps wait for more people to join. So Ilan Amin, hello. اعتماد hello. زبير اهلا وسهلا سي زبير. خديجه ايت مولاي hello. سكينه ابي الزهور good evening. And مازوني وصال السلام عليكم. سمية سبي اهلا سمية اهلا وسهلا. سي خالد العربي. مريم هاجر محمد الازرق hello my dear friends. Very good. For the word sitting in the man sitting on the ground, you said this is somehow a bit somehow complicated because not complicated, but complicated for what we are discussing, for the level that we are discussing. So the diagram of this, the boy sitting in the waiting room. So the only way we can do this together is not to go into the analysis of sitting. What is it? Sitting on Professor work that the boy sitting in the waiting room. Sitting in the waiting room will be just under a triangle, and of course we can do the thing together. So let's do it. Waiting for more friends to join. So we have the man sitting on the tree diagram. The boy sitting in the waiting room is my son. The boy sitting in the waiting room is my son. The boy sitting in the waiting room is my son. Okay. سي عثمان اهلا وسهلا. Hello everyone. أستاذة زينب اهلا وسهلا. Hello. Please guys do share the link. Yeah, please do that. And I forgot to share it. May I take waiting for more friends to join? May I take some time just to share this here and then come back to this important tree diagram. So in the meantime, you do that following Sumiya's recommendation, Sumiya's suggestion, okay? Sumiya's request. So thank you very much, Sumiya. Thank you, everyone. In fact, we have friends who always share, you see, as one way of helping this channel grow. Hopefully it will grow. We don't know. Okay, nice. So that we have more people, benefiting, if there is anything to benefit from, of course, happening now. And then I'll have to, to post it, of course, here. Probably with the tag in for the followers. And then I'll tag the followers here and I say, donc followers, and then a live session on phonology and phonological analysis. Join us. Thank you. All right, now this is fine. Hello, Duja. Hello, Mohammed Nasiri. Everyone here. Well, let's go straightforwardly to the tree diagram, and then we move on to our phonology. I suppose this is going to be a session that is not easy if we are to cover all of those things that we mentioned in the thumbnail. But if we fail to do that, it means that tomorrow we'll have a sequel to this, follow up to what we do. So the boy sitting, wait a minute. The boy, yeah, the boy sitting in the waiting room is my son. The boy sitting in the waiting room is my son. So you have what's this? The boy sitting in the room is my son. It's what? It's a clause, isn't it? Yes. Inside this clause, we have another clause which is sitting in the which is referred to also as a reduced clause. These types of clauses are called the reduced clause, and a reduced clause is more of a lesson in advanced English rather than in expert theory. But let me tell you loud and clear that that there is this, when you say the man who is standing there, is this a relative clause or not? Yes, it is, because we have who, and then you have so you have the relative pronoun, and then you have the auxiliary, and then you have the ing. The letter which was received is also a relative clause in this, simply because we have the relative pronoun and we have the clause inside it. Very good. These relative clauses, ladies and gentlemen, can be subject to reduction, producing what is generally referred to in advanced grammar as a reduced clause. So much so that instead of having the man who is reading the book is my friend, we can simply say the man reading the book is my friend. Are there any rules for reducing the clause? Yes. So we have a clause of this type, the man who is reading who is reading the book. So the rule says that you need to delete the relative pronoun who plus the auxiliary, thereby reducing the clause successfully. So the man standing there is my friend is actually a reduced clause, a reduced relative clause. The letter which was received, which is a passive voice, of course, is this subject to reduction? Yes, it is, because we have the conditions for it. We have a relative pronoun which, and then we have the auxiliary, which is was received. All right, so we say the letter which was received is very convincing, or the letter received is very convincing. By the way, you may choose to use these types of structure in order to better your writing, to beautify your writing, and to show that there is variety in your writing. So this is as far as written English is concerned. These phenomena are referred to as reduced clauses. Okay? There are other types of reduced clauses. These concern, for example, some subordinators, like although. For example, you say although he was writing fast, although he was not in although he was not in his mood, he was telling us very funny jokes. So you can reduce although he was not by simply deleting he and then was. Although not in his mood, comma. So you can use these, in your written English. So this is as far as the language part is concerned. Now, as far as the syntactic part, reduced relative clauses like the one our friend has just mentioned, like the one Miriam has just written, so the boy sitting in the waiting room, this one here involves, is a good case of a relative clause which is reduced, a relative clause that has undergone reduction. So the way we need to represent it is the way we represent a relative clause. That is to say, we need to represent it as a CP, okay, where there is some deletion. So this is one of the analysis, but there might be another analysis considering sitting as an adjective. Okay, but whatever the case, because sitting in the waiting room can be considered, one analysis can consider sitting in the waiting room as what? As an adjective phrase. Okay, because you don't have the auxiliary, and therefore you have that past participle that can take that function. But from the point of view of a reduced clause, especially when we consider the analogy with a real relative clause, then that can be considered as a CP in itself, with a with an empty category before it. So that's the case of the ing infinitive. And of course, in syntax, it's just that we have suspended syntax in favor of phonology. But later on, we will see that, of course, there are certain clauses where the subject is an empty category. We refer to this as big pro. And if you would like us to continue with syntax later on, we can do that. There is no problem. I can do it because there's so sitting here can be can be accounted for in terms of its grammaticality by referring to one of the principles that is known as the extended projection principle, saying that every single clause has to have a subject, except that this subject can be overt or covert. So the boy sitting in the waiting room, okay, sitting in the waiting room actually is the boy who is sitting in the waiting room. And given this state of affairs, what we are going to do for the moment in our representation of this tree diagram is to consider sitting in the waiting room as a relative clause. What did I tell you about the relative clause a few days ago inside a noun phrase? A relative clause is always an adjunct, okay, rather than a complement, which means that in this sentence, we will have the CP, the big CP, because we have a sentence, and inside the CP, we have the subject. What is the subject here? The subject is the boy sitting in the waiting room. That's the subject, because it's a phrase. We talked yesterday about constituency, so we can replace what? The boy sitting in the waiting room. We can replace it by he. He is my son. Who is your son? The boy sitting in the waiting room. Okay. Now, so given this state of affairs, what we will do in the diagram is consider the whole thing as an adjunct, and of course we will see the details. Now, please notice that since the boy sitting in the waiting room is a subject, it means that all this, the boy sitting in the waiting room, okay, the boy sitting in the waiting room should be under the specifier of the IP or the TP in your case. All this should be a specifier for TP. If you have a subject, as long as the distance from Rabat to Marrakesh, it has to be under the specifier of a TP. Is that fine? So what is the situation that we have now? The situation that we have now is that we have a subject which happens to belong, of course, with the boy being the head, and sitting in the waiting room being an adjunct. But the whole thing should be a subject and should therefore fall under the specifier of the TP. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it together. So we have a C double bar here, or a CP, you feel free. And then, of course, the spec is universally empty. And of course, we have C bar, we have C0. Since we are not asking a question, it's a minus WH, okay, feature. And since the verb is conjugated, because you have is my son, so it is plus finite. All right. So here, plus finite like this. Okay, let's continue. So C double bar, and then we have what? The C0 subcategorizes for or selects as a complement and what? A T double bar. TP. Okay, let's call it TP or T double bar. بحال دونك حتى هنا ممكن نقول لها سي بي بلا هاد double bar. Okay, so you watch me do this. So we have here the specifier, which is an NP or N double bar, NP, or you may call it a TP, so it's NP. What is this NP? It's the subject because it's the specifier of an IP. What is the subject here? The subject is the boy sitting in the waiting room. The boy sitting in the waiting room, all of it should be here. Why? Because I have the continuation later. The boy sitting in the waiting room is my son. So is my son, is should be under I T0 and then is and then my son, the subject complement. Okay, so the boy sitting in the waiting room should be here, with sitting in the waiting room being an adjunct. علاش? Because it's a reduced relative clause. It's a relative clause. Fine. دابا حنا واخا اللي غادي يسميها adjective phrase هي adjunct. So all roads lead to Rome. So it boils down to the same thing. We have an adjunction phenomenon here. So what we have is the boy. So we have the determiner, the, and then I stop here. Do I have an adjunct? Yes, I do, which is sitting in the waiting room. So I write the n bar here, and then I have the original n bar, and then n0, and then you have boy. Okay. Sitting in the waiting room is a CP because you have, but we will abstract away from this. We will just use the triangle for present purposes. علاش؟ حيت sitting presupposes that we postulate an empty category. ما شفناش هادشي. وإلا ما شفتوش حتى انتم, if we have not covered that in class, you may not be, unless your professor tells you that it's an adjective phrase. In that case, you write adjective phrase here, and then sitting will be the head of the adjective phrase, and in the waiting room will be the complement. That's fine. But I do think that this is still a CP. But whatever the case, what is important is that it's an adjunct, as you can see, because it's a copy of the n bar here. So you have a CP here, use it in a triangle. What's that? Sitting in the waiting room. And then we have to finish the sentence here. I, or T bar, T0, all right, is, so auxiliaries, you have two choices, my friends. I repeat, because this is a question that that is frequently asked. When I have will go, or you have is just لا is هنا c'est un verbe ماشي auxiliaire. But when you have will go, should go, here you choose, you write the auxiliary here. But since I have is my son, is here is the main verb. So I have to write plus tense plus agreement because the verb is conjugated. Okay. And then I have to go to the V double bar or VP here. In the VP, do I have an adjunct here? No, I'm sorry. Okay. Somebody commented that the board is not clear. My apologies. Okay, so here I think it's fine. Yeah. واش reversed ولا ماشي reversed هادشي? Can you see clearly these things, or is it reversed? Anyway, I'll ask you later. So what we have here is a VP, V bar, V0, which is, and then Hadi, my son, is the subject complement. It's the complement of the subject. علاش ما درناهاش adjunct? It can't be an adjunct. Why? Because you cannot say the man sitting in the waiting room is and then stop. It needs to be complemented. So we need a complement here. It's my son is an N and NP. Of course, you have determiner my and then son. I hope Miriam is satisfied with this analysis. I need your feedback on this. Miriam, thank you. Okay, Zubair, Muzuni, Wisal. Okay, Khalid, Sumia, Khalid. Hajar, Si Mohammed, yes. Thank you, Si Mohammed Zaraq. You keep joining us. Thank you. Si Mohammed Al-Hamri, Khalid Al-Arabi. It's Al-Arabi, not, it's العربي 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 I'm sorry. انت الاستواء ديك بحال الاستواء ديالي مثلك كمثلي. You see, انا كيقولوا عليا عمروس, mais c'est pas عمروس, c'est امروس. All right, so that's fine. Okay. Never mind. سامية hello. هادشي قريتو قبل وقيلا سي عثمان and أستاذ زينب. سامية anyway غير ما بيكون thank you for your effort. صافي دونك مزيان العربي. دونك انت العربي ماشي اوكي العربي. alright. Well, it boils down, اللهجات المغربية, they are this is, you are the victim of vowel length not being present in Moroccan Arabic and in Amazigh. So العربي, it's العربي ولا العربي carrément. So it's fine. But anyway, let's continue. Let's مريم راكي هنا ولا مشيتي؟ مريم, if you are here, I need your feedback. No, the only platform that I use is this for the live. I'm sorry. صافي. مريم إلا ما عرف واش هي سولتنا وربما I don't know whether she has a problem with connection. Anyway, we will go for phonology. مريم, thank you مريم. Okay. Now let's start with our main topic for this live session, which is phonology. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start very quickly, very rapidly. And by the way, later on, I will cut this part where I talked about syntax so that the ones who would like to go back to the video after will find it easier to go straightforward, to go straightforwardly to the contents relating to phonology. Now, phonology, and like phonetics, as we said last time, phonology considers sounds in individual languages. It's not like in isolation, as does phonetics. Phonetics says it's not my business in which language p occurs. In Russian, go ahead. In French, go ahead. It doesn't exist in Arabic. It's not my business. This is what phonetics says. Phonology cares more about, number one, the languages that contain sounds and the languages that do not. So part of what phonology does is establish what we refer to as the phonemic inventory of a language. That is to say, one of the jobs of phonology is to tell us which sounds occur in this language and which sounds do not occur. For example, in phonology, phonology has the right to say that the vowel U, okay, exists in French and does not exist in Arabic. This is phonology. When you say this, you are a phonologist. Say this and you become a phonologist. Okay, nice. So it does this. Phonology also tells us the behavior of sounds in individual languages. So it does not just tell us which sounds exist and which do not, but also the sounds that exist. It talks about the behavior. What do we mean by the behavior of sounds? We know, ladies and gentlemen, let's start from this, and then I'll come back to something to the beginning. What does the Moroccan Arabic proverb say about, the people who are together, who are friends, for example? Parents, for example, when they notice that their son or daughter has a friend, okay, whose behavior is loose, who is not really, for example, an adolescent who smokes, for example, an adolescent who, I don't know, does things that should not be done. The parents are afraid that their sons will become like the other one. You see? So they say, من شفتك ما من شبهتك. So it means that when two people meet, one of them influences the other. Yes or no? It's a human nature. We are influenced. If you always join your academic companion, there is probably a chance for you to probably use expressions. Sometimes you try to mimic your academic companion. Sometimes, you see, it's like that, And if you join a live session where they are talking about different topics, you will be influenced, my friend. Anyway. وكذلك sounds. So phonology assumes, and it's right in assuming so, that sounds influence each other. It's the fate of sounds in languages. That's true, Wissal, that's true. And Si Mustafa said الصاحب ساحب. الصاحب ساحب يسحبك. That's true, يسحبك الجهة ديالو. That's true. Said, hello, Said, you are probably making reference to something, to Al-Arabi. Okay, good evening. Okay, never mind. So let me just put the apologies for not reading all the comments, lest I should lose track of what I am saying. Never mind, my friends. So sounds mutually inter-influence, as do humans. Sounds mutually inter-influence, as do humans. You, students, for example, in preparation for your exams, Do you prefer to join a group of ladies and gentlemen who are known for being hardworking, or would you prefer to join, people, students who spend that preparation period just talking about the film that they saw, or telling you about their cousins' weddings, and you see. So this is it. This is it. I mean, so sounds influence each other. That's the human language. This is how language is created. Okay, fine. But before we talk about this and the details, by the way, the basic idea in phonological rules, phonological analysis, assimilation, dissimilation, phonological processes and rules, all of these start from the idea that what the principle is, what the starting point is, what it's that sounds mutually inter-influence. That's it. Okay, good. But before this, let me just tell you one thing about what phonology first does, and I'm sure you did that in the first lesson. It's the fact of discovering the phonemes in individual languages. Okay. In American structuralism, it used to be discussed. It used to be called the discovery procedures. So linguists phonologists in particular, linguists in general, and phonologists in particular, in the course of finding out about the sound system of a language, they first need to identify the sounds that exist in a language and the sounds that do not. That's step one. For example, does not exist in Moroccan Arabic. Does it? It does not. Now, does it exist in one of the okay, I'm a bit distracted by the comments, so I will not read them. Just not to lose track. So we are talking about the sound h. A phonologist will easily say that h does not exist in Moroccan Arabic. Does it exist in Amazigh? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Now they move to the second step. You listen, my friends. Let's take a sound that our friends here can understand. Okay? Let's say the sound k. You listen to me here, please. مثلا اليوم اللايف فهاد الشيء كل شيء حيت سي فريمون ديفيسيل باش نسالو في 3 4 سوايع. But I am with you tomorrow. I can discuss these things. In fact, one of my favorites is phonology. So let's imagine that the phonologist wants to analyze the sound k in Moroccan Arabic. Okay? The first thing is to see whether it exists or not. He should hear it. You see? When you hear, for example, he will sit in a cafe. We say kiwa kima قلت لك البارح كيما. They have k sound here. So he would say that this exists in Moroccan Arabic, especially if he hears it on frequently enough. Now the second step is to check the status of k. Is the sound k a sound which contributes to the production of meaning, or is it just a sound that does not have this role? Because some sounds exist, but they don't contribute meaning. It means what? It means, can I say a word that contains k without saying k? No. K is part and parcel of what you should pronounce to, if you have kitab. If you have kitab. That's very interesting. You listen. Yeah, listen. So I have kitab. Okay. If I hide kitab, I will have another word. Tab. You know what tab means? Tab means to repent the sins, etc. Okay. Taba ila rabbi. Tab. But here, no, I have to have k if I want to mean this. If I want to mean this. Okay, by the way, this is human physiology. So sometimes I have a look at the body's anatomy and all right, never mind. So kitab, this is kitab, and without the k, you will not have the meaning of kitab, you will have another word, kitab, which means that sounds exist because they contribute, okay, to the meaning. That's one thing. How do linguists do that? And this is something that I will remind you of something you did in class. Okay? Now, just imagine that we have the word, so we finished with kitab. I'm looking for another word, but anyway, just imagine the linguist wants to know whether t exists in Arabic or not. He hears people saying, t exists. So what are they going to do? For example, they will present the speaker with something like kitab, and they present him or her systematically, of course, we are just giving an example, with another word like k, and they will change this with s, kitab, and later he will change s with l. And then we have klab, which is the plural for dogs. كسب, it's to earn. Yes? كسب الفلوس ولا مكسب الفلوس إلى آخره. إلى آخره. So you have these. So I think كسب, because I'm not a native speaker anyway, this is Moroccan Arabic. So let's just keep with I'm sure of كتاب and كلاب. I am sure of it. All right. So if we compare these two words, and كلام, well, we will have that later, Natalie. That's a very interesting thing. Yes. So you listen to me, please. So كتاب, that's a word in Moroccan Arabic. Very good. Now, is this like this? Yes. Maybe 80%, or I don't know, a large percentage of this word is like this, but they differ in one single sound. By the way, in phonology, we do not talk about letters. It's the sound. So the difference is this. So here you have t, and then you have l. The rest is the same. The linguist discovers that these two exist in Moroccan Arabic. So the linguist, after he discovers that the two words exist in Moroccan Arabic, he will check whether they have different meanings or the same meaning. So these sounds, of course, have the same meaning. Kitab, which means book, and klab, which is the plural of dogs. Okay? So we say that t is an important sound that contributes to meaning, and l is also an important sound that contributes to meaning. Yalla, be ready for some vocabulary in this regard. Because the sound l distinguishes book from dog, مثلا عندي كلاب, and then I take l and I put t instead. So the t, it's thanks to t that dogs have become book. So we say that the sound t, okay, the sound t is distinctive. It is distinctive because it has the capacity of distinguishing meaning one from meaning two. Okay, so that's distinctive. And because kitab and kilab are not the same, so we say that there is a contrast in terms of the meaning. We say that k and t have a contrastive function. They have a contrastive function. They have a distinctive function. Some sounds have a distinctive function. Yeah, contrastive distribution. That's the thing. You understand or no? Very good. So you know what contrastive is? You know, my friends, look. The reason why I am focusing هذا شي واحد نقدر زعما نجي كاريمون نجي ديريكتومون نقول لك هذا سميتو فونيم كيعاون ربي الله يعاون. But it's good because you hear these words but you don't know what they really mean. I'm not from my experience as a student. So you've got to know what contrastive is and what distinctive is in order for you to appreciate and to understand what is coming next. You see? So all in all, there are some sounds that are contrastive, that are distinctive. بحال contrastive بحال distinctive. My friends, contrastive هي distinctive. Distinctive function, contrastive function, the same. You see? Now, are there sounds that are not contrastive? Yes. Yes. Let me give you an example, my friends. Let me give you an example. Even those who are not Amazigophones, lend me your ears, please. Let's take this. Okay, let's see. Let's say this. الكتاب. In some dialects, in some varieties of Amazigh, like the variety around Souera, for example, and all the region, okay, of Ihahan and what am I saying? Yeah, that's Ihahan. Ihahan Sihaha, okay, and you have Smimu, the region Idawaz, and you have these these regions where Liktab is pronounced as Lichtab or Lichtab, with a h sound. So if you show to someone a book, you say, "What's this?" He will say, "Oh, what Lichtab, Lichtab instead of k." Now the question is, if they say Lichtab instead of Liktab, is the word h contrastive or not? مثلا السيد كيهضر العربية. We are all affected by our native language. Someone comes and speaks Moroccan Arabic with you. الله يخليك اعطيني واحد الكتاب. تعيا ما تنتقد فيه تقول له انت راه من اصول ربما امازيغيه لان فوالا، ولكن ما يمكنش تقول راه الكتاب هذا هو الكتاب ماشي هو هذا. You understand me or not? So it means what? Yeah, of course, Southeastern Amazigh variety process the same way. That's true. So I give just that example. Yeah, but it's widely used. In Terifit, for example, h is pronounced as h only before s. You see, that's identity avoidance. But anyway, we will not talk about that. So k and h, which is transcribed as this. This is the h sound. This and this, liktab and lichtab, are not like kitab and kilab. Here we have produced two meanings. Here we have produced, we still have just one meaning. So we say that the word sound h is not contrastive. The sound h is not distinctive. لا يا سمية لا غادي نجيو للكومبليمنتاري. لا ماشي كومبليمنتاري سمية. No. I'll come back. Just wait a moment. Follow this live session. Okay. واش مفهوم? Type 1 if you understand the difference between what is contrastive and what is not contrastive. Tell me. Sumia says yes. Very good. يلا زي thank you Natalie. Yeah, thank you. So let's move on. Do you want an example in English? نعطيكم example from English? Yes, let me give you an example from English. In English, we have words like let me pronounce them. I will not waste your time. Just listen to me, please. This one here is pronounced type t and then a small h, okay? And then ipe, type t, h, ipe. This is patience, p, and then h, شوية الخوة, عاد patience. This is native like. Important, not important, and then important. Good. Notice, please, that the t that we have here and here are not the t that we have in type. So this is type. This is important. It's not important. We don't speak like that. Good. There is, okay, so the sound t in English and the sound t, they have different pronunciations. This one is pronounced with an extra H, silent H, type, and this one is pronounced without the silent H. Now, if someone comes to you and says, instead of saying type, he or she says type without the h there, are you going to say that you have produced a new word? No. No, that's not free variation anyway. We will come back to that. تبعوا معايا تبعوا دابا احنا ما دخلنا لا الكومبليمنتري ديستريبيوشن لا الفري فاريشن. احنا دابا واش كونتراستيف ولا ماشي كونتراستيف؟ الله يخليكم. Let's be methodological. Okay, so can we say that t and t, the t is a contrastive? That's not contrastive, and as Uthman says, that is not distinctive. ما distinctive ما contrastive. باش تكون هذه مع هذه لا t sample مع t اللي هي فيها we will call it aspiration later. راه خصني ننتج مثلا type و type خصهم يكونوا عندهم جوج معاني باش يكونوا contrastive. So this is not contrastive. Very good. Now, Barakallahu fik. Okay, Shan. Okay, thank you. Look, all in all, to summarize, in phonology, we are concerned with speech sounds. In phonetics, we are also concerned with speech sounds, but we are concerned with speech sounds in different ways. In phonetics says it's not my business what behaviors sounds have and what languages they exist in. No. My job is just to describe and classify, but just more describe. Is to tell you that, for example, t is a voiceless alveolar stop, and then it stops there. Phonology comes and says, هذاك الالveolar stop اجي لهنا. واش contrastive ولا لا؟ So phonology maybe is a complement to phonetics. لاحظوا معايا باش تعرفوا لا بيداغوجي. ما بغيتش نقول complementary باش ما يدخلش مع الcomplementary distribution. تعرفوا. You see, I care a lot about these things. Never mind. So, okay. Phonology does not describe. Phonology analyzes the sound inventory of languages, and it tells us whether, number one, whether a sound is contrastive or not contrastive. That is to say, if we have meaning or we don't have a new meaning, if a new meaning is born by changing one sound for another or not. Here, a new meaning is not born. No new meaning is born by changing t with t or t with t. You see? Very good. Let's move on. Yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah, okay. So now you are absolutely right, because in Thai you have pa and ba. It's ba and ba, which mean two things. Of course, I just did not want to put pressure on our friends here, especially the beginners, because I need to be methodological. And we will come to that as soon later on. Thank you. You are absolutely right. So let's continue. One technique that phonologists use to discover the sounds of a language that are contrastive and the sounds that are not contrastive is to try to look for words that look similar, two different words with two different meanings. The words look similar except in one sound. Okay? For example, let's say look and book. Look, book. So this is roughly similar, but here we have b and then we have l. Okay? Because this gives you meaning number one, meaning x, and this gives you meaning y. Okay? We say that l is a contrastive sound because it has a different meaning. B is also a contrastive sound because it has its own meaning. And of course, look and book are referred to as a minimal pair. A minimal pair. أحلام ما غاديش نهضر على هذا الشيء pour le moment. You are right أنا فهمتك. I agree with you. You see, but this is not the part of this live where we can talk about that. So here it's fine. So look, so this is called minimal pair. Minimal pair. A minimal pair, عافاكم, because I'm using بلاتي. Look and book, yes, Wisal, yes, you are right. Yes, I thought there was a follow. Yes. So look at this. We have example here, like sit and bit. That's true. علاش? Because both of them have it. They have three sounds, two sounds, a consonant, vowel, consonant, and they differ just in one. And because they differ, they have different meanings. In fact, the different meanings is just thanks to the substitution of b and s in sit and bit. Tag and bag. Thank you, Abu Bakr. Yes, tag and bag. What are they? There is one thing I want to say. From experience, students mix up notions. So a minimal pair does not refer to the sound. A minimal pair does not refer to one word. A minimal pair refers to the pair of words like shoes. You see, so what is a minimal? Where is the minimal pair here? هذه كاملة minimal pair. Is this a minimal pair? And are minimal? No, they are not minimal pairs. They exist in a minimal pair. How minimal pair? Okay. Same sound, segments differ in. Oh yeah, that's true. Look at Uthman. Mr. Uthman, هنا سأسكت قليلا. Okay, see Uthman says minimal pairs, the very good definition there. Same sound segments. Same sound segments. Same sound segments they differ in only one. Uthman says that. So for a minimal pair to be called a minimal pair, there need to be two conditions. Number one, they should look similar except in one sound. هذا الcondition الأولى. Number two, they should have a different meaning or two different meanings, in fact, X and Y. Okay? Wherever, the beginning, thank you. This is very interesting. Thank you. So either we have look and book. We have look at this. Look at this. We have live, and then you have love. So you have I, and then O. So the difference is in the middle. Yes or no? And then you have live, and then you have life. So here the difference is towards the end. Thank you, Sumya. That's true. Thank you. So you can, the sound that differs can be at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, whatever. What is important is that we have words that are the same except in one sound. It can be at the beginning, the middle, and the end, no problem. So the two words are referred to as minimal pairs. And now comes the most important element. These two sounds, L and B, are referred to as phonemes. L here is a phoneme. B here is also a phoneme. We have two phonemes here, L and B. How do we know? Because they are contrastive, because they are distinctive. How do we know that they are contrastive or distinctive? Because we have this minimal pair test that we did. Okay, so L and B are independent phonemes. عرفتوا شنو هو phoneme دابا ولا ما عرفتوش؟ You know what a phoneme is? A phoneme is a speech sound that has the capacity of contrasting, that have a contrastive function, that have a distinctive function. How do we know that they have a distinctive feature? It's because when they occur in a minimal pair, we can see that the different sound. When this sound is the one that is different, but you have a different meaning, it means it's a phoneme. Is that okay or not? Okay, let's move on. Okay, I have a little scar in my finger, so I find it difficult to manipulate, to use them. Okay. Nice. Mr. Uthman says a minimal pair is two words. Absolutely. سي عبد الحكيم العالمي. Thank you. Donc أنا عندي a minimal pair is two words. مزيان. With the same number of sound segments? Yes, the number has to be the same. Thank you. And which differ in one segment. Absolutely. Absolutely. And three which have different meanings. ما كرهتش تكوبيو عندكم هاد الخلاصه ديال السي عبد الحكيم العالمي. ها هي السي عبد الحكيم العالمي has said it all. Thank you Kamal's artistic channel. What do I mean by independent phonemes? هذا كيستيون زوينه. Thank you. بحال عندكم هاد لي كيستيون بحال هاد الشكل هذا يعني سولوني. Il n'y a pas de problème. Independent phonemes means that they, so we say, look at this. شوف معايا هذه. L'exemple ديال ك and ح in Amazigh, in some varieties of Amazigh. Okay? Are these two sounds independent of each other? The answer is no, they are not independent of each other. علاش? Because this one here derives from this. K is pronounced by some people as h. Is it a new sound? No, it's not a new sound. Can I find a word where in one you have h and the same word in a minimal pair you have k? لا. In Amazigh, no. In other languages, perhaps. But in Amazigh, no. You see? So we cannot find a minimal pair where k and h contrast. So k and h are not independent. هذه رقم واحد حيث هذا depends on this and it comes from this, and they are not phonemes because they are not contrastive. Very good. Okay. By contrast, when I have love and live, so what do we have here? We have the same word except in one. So here you have O and then you have I. So here, do we have X and Y? Yes, of course, because they mean different things. So the relation between O and I, these vowels, is not like the relation between this and this. So O and I are independent phonemes. Okay, good. جانسيست sur واحد الحاجة الله يخليكم. Minimal pair ما كتعنيش sounds. Minimal pair ماشي sounds. Minimal pair هما كلمتين. باش تقول minimal pair خصك تشير لجوج كلمات. هاد بجوج بهم كيتسموا minimal pair وما كيتسموش minimal pairs. They are words that form a minimal pair. اتفق معك, but it's one minimal pair. One minimal pair where we have two phonemes. Necessarily. Whenever you have a minimal pair, you have two phonemes there. Fine? So give me, write down some minimal pairs there just to illustrate the notion of a phoneme. يلا اكتبوا لي واحد جوج ولا ثلاثة ديال minimal pairs there. Or let me write them. Anyway, I think it can, and there's a delay. Thing and think. Okay, very good, Natalie. So you have thing. Oh, شوف كيف كتبت thing. So you have the. I got. Okay. Very good. Haven't you noticed? So we have g and k here. These are, okay, this is this g. If you replace it with k, you will have this meaning. So g is the one that gives thing its meaning. Here, k is the one that gives thing its meaning. It distinguishes from thing. That's why we call it distinctive. It has the capacity of distinguishing. And it's contrastive because the meaning is contrasted with the other meaning, so it's not the same. Okay, where is the minimal pair? It's this. What is g and k? They are independent phonemes. How many criteria should we have? حيت هادشي غادي نشوفو après. How many criteria should we have to talk about a phoneme? Talk about a given sound, a phoneme. جوج ديال criteria. Number one, we need to have, two words that are similar except in one sound. Number two, these two sounds have to have different meanings. If we have two words that are similar except in one sound, but you have the same meaning, ما بقيناش في independent phonemes, as we will see right now. Okay or not? Good. Marwan, can you look at Marwan's suggestion? Marwan has written a series of words. What do we call them if they are more than... Yes. Su'at can. Yeah, very good. Yeah, this is exactly what I had in mind. That's why I am referring to Mr. Marwan. صافي? Voilà. Mr. Marwan says, عندي will, well, while, wall. I have more than will, while, well. So it's maybe 4 or 5 words and you can have more. So a minimal pair necessarily means two. A pair of shoes means just two. When you have more than two, as Mr. Saeed Rafia rightly says, we have what we call a minimal set. So kitab, kilab is a minimal pair. Wall, will, well, wall, etc. It's a minimal set because you have more than two. صافي? Very good. Pass. Let's move on. عرفتوا فاش كنسالي هاد اللايف I look at my hands and I find them all dotted. Okay. In Arabic, what is the word for heart in Arabic? Moroccan Arabic. What is the Said is laughing. What is the word for heart in Moroccan Arabic? It's what? It's القلب. Fine. But there are some regions around Oujda, for example, and some varieties. They would say القلب. Especially in the songs of some rhyme musicians, like المرحوم المولي الوجدي, say القلب. قلبي means my heart. So قلب قلب. Okay, now, do I have a minimal pair here or not? Let's apply the two criteria that we talked about before. باش تكون هذه minimal pair. Yeah, Sumia says no, you are right. Yes, you are right. So we have two words that are the same except for one. هالكريتير الأول okay. كريتير الثاني خص يكون عندي different meanings. واش عندي هنا different meanings? No, we don't have different meanings. The same thing for if someone says قال لي فلان باللي you are a nice person. قال لي فلان قال and قال, they are not a minimal pair because they don't produce different meanings. In this situation, this specific case, we don't have two different meanings, and therefore q and g are not independent phonemes. We say that ق and g in these examples ماشي in Moroccan Arabic, let's say in these examples, but also in Moroccan Arabic, لأن Moroccan Arabic في الغالب ديال كاين ديك alternation. Anyway, ق and g غير هو عنده اكزومبل ديال القرعه مع القرعه. هنايا كاين الفرق. Yes or no? هنا they are independent phonemes. But in قلب and قلب, no. We say that ق لا ماشي allophones. لا 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 my friend. لا 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 غنجيو الallophones. ولكن مزيان ما قلتيها وقلت لك لا باش تعقل عليها. اسمعوا. When you have a minimal pair but without new meanings, هنا we are talking about, as Mr. Bushaib Manar. So as Bushaib Manar, I guess now she is a lady because Bushaib is likely to be her first name. So as Manar says, this is called free variation. دابا في الامتحان إن شاء الله إلى جالكم هذا السؤال, what's the difference between a minimal, a phoneme, a sound that is a phoneme, and sounds that are in free variation? Your answer will be that they are similar and they are different. They are similar because we can find two words that have the same number of sounds and same sounds, except one. Plus, this has to contribute to the change of meaning. So we have a minimal pair here. You see? واش هذه سميتها minimal pair؟ لا ما سميتهاش minimal pair. باش تسمى هذه minimal pair خصو يكون هذا وهذا خصو يكونوا phonemes. واش هادو phonemes عباد الله؟ ما phoneme ما والو. So we say that ق and g in these examples are in free variation. So يا إما نقولوا ق and g are in free variation, or we say they are free variants. Free variants. بحال يا إما نقولوا they are in free variation or they are free variants. ما عمرنا ما كنقولوا عليهم they are free variation. لا, we have free variation and are in free variation. They exist in this relationship of free variation. Okay? Okay, nice. متفقين هنا ولا ما متفقينش؟ In English, we have the word economics. Sometimes it's pronounced economics. E and A are also in free variation. As long as there is no change in meaning, even if they look like existing in a minimal pair, but as long as there is no change in meaning, see, we cannot speak of a phoneme. On the day of the exam, my friends, sometimes كيكون عندكم data. You have data. Sometimes you have data. You see, and if you have time, we can work on a data set without any problem. If you have a previous exam, we can work it out together. No, life is easy, Soumya. Never mind. So your professor will tell you, say if, for example, the sound t, d, s, z, and ch, and j, for example, he will tell you, or she will tell you, consider these set series of sounds, and they will give you data here. And you have to say if these sounds are independent phonemes or they are in free variation. والأخرى عاد ما شفناش allophones عاد غنشوفوها independently. دابا اش غندير هنايا؟ I have data here, data, and I have the translation into English. إلى آخره. So if I have something here like P and then K, if I have something like P, K in a given language, which means horse, all right? P-ka, meaning horse. And here you have pa, and then ka, which means horse. What's the conclusion here? You have this or you have data هنايا غنشوفوها après. So as a student taking the exam, I should read PK and then بعدا شوف واحد الاستراتيجي كنشد هذاك الداتا كنجي هنا نشوف واش كاين شي حاجه معاوده. اون فوا كنلقى هورس هنا كنشوف كنلقى similar words except one, I will go directly to say that it's free variation. Very good. That's what Soumya said. Okay, because the meaning is the same. Now just imagine that I have P ta, and then I have here P and then sa. P ta means hen and P sa means bird. So T and S إلا عندي مثلا غير هنايا T and S لأن بالعاني باش just to meet these I can say that شوف كنشوف بيتا بيسا كنقرا هذا الشيء وكنشوف اللي كيتعاودوا ولا اللي similar. So كنلقى هاد بيتا بحال بيسا هذه اس هذه ت كنشوف انا هذه هن هذه bird. Conclusion, this is a minimal pair and ولكن الجواب ماشي هذا وهذا are minimal pairs. ما عمركم ما تقولوا هذا الشيء. So ت and أنا ت and س are independent phonemes because I have successfully found the minimal pair. Very good. They are phonemes. Thank you. So far, is it clear? So far, is it clear? Type 1 if it's clear. Type 1 if it's clear. If it's not clear, don't type anything. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Can you consider the following words, please? I'm just thinking of an easy example to give you. All right, good, nice. نمشيو وقيلا cats and dogs. أحسن. Very good, very easy. Cats and dogs have made life easy for linguists because it's there where we can bring our examples from. So let's say cat, dog. Okay. Like John and Mary, that's true. John and Ali at the apple and all these things. And John kicked the ball. That's in passive voice. All right. Cat, dog. I would like you to consider, if you want to put the plural of cat, you put S here, yes or no? And if you want to put the plural of dog, you also add the S. Question. Why is it that you pronounce the plural of cat as cats and the plural of dog as dogs? Dogs, no. Cats, no. You see? So in one, we have cats, s, and in another, we have z, which is, of course, we talk about it this way. Yeah, you are machine assimilation. Morphology. That's a morphophonological rule jihad. You are absolutely right, but I am using it not as a morphology. I am using it just to illustrate one notion. Again, pedagogy is very important here. Just for illustrative purposes. Later on, at a later stage, yes, you can refer to the morpheme boundary and you refer to this as a morphophonemic rule. But we are not going to do that. Suffice it to talk about this pair. What is important is the difference that we have in the pronunciation, especially that it's written in the same way. Okay, now this sound is written in the same way, but it's pronounced in a different way. Is there a reason? Answer. Yes, there is a reason. As recently as yesterday, we talked about not as before yesterday, we talked about the difference between voiced and voiceless. And this should remind you of when I told you the time when I told you that you cannot do phonology if you don't do phonetics. احنا وصلنا ليه. See? So, s occurs after t. Z occurs after g. T is what? Is a voiceless, you see, is a voiceless consonant. G is a voiced consonant. So what happens to the s? S here occurs, the voiceless s is voiceless when it occurs near a voiceless, and it becomes voiced when it occurs with a voiced. Is that fine? Yeah. All right. Let's move on to another. Okay. So we say, اوكي جهاد ما وصلناش لذاك لو نيفو ديالها، راه ساهل باش نكتبوا الرولز وهذا، ولكن الهدف من هذا الشيء لا كيسيون كي سوبوز واش فهموا الاخوان هنا ولا ما فهموش. سي دونك حنا غاديين غير بشويه بشويه بالعاني. انا I'm proceeding in as pedagogical a manner as I can afford, and I hope this has given its fruit because people understand. Now let me يلا نديروا شويه الفرنسيه هنايا. صافي هادو. All right. Let's read these words in French. صافي نديرو ملي قلتم يا كرواسون نديرو كرواسون حتى هي هنا ضروري ياك كرواسون. فيري سمية إزرائيل غوب. شو كي كتبت غوب. Okay, nice. So you have look at how we pronounce this here and here and here and here and here. We say robe, very good. Do we say tranche or la tranche? Is it a r or a ch? What do you hear? Une tranche, tranche. La deuxième tranche, not the ch. Do we say pratique or pratique? Do we say vendre or vendre? Il a قلت واحد vendre. You should say vendre. Do you say croissant or croissant? We have a specialist in French here who is Soumia Sabi. She's كتر في الفرنسي. Just joking, Soumia. All right. So you have this or no? She makes me laugh. All right. So robe, tranche, pratique, vendre. As you can see, sometimes the r sound is pronounced as r, and sometimes it's pronounced as a ch. Voilà. What's the difference between r and ch? دائما my friends إلا عندكم هاد تسمعوني ولا لا؟ اسمعوا. مثلا عندي data. I have data and I found out annulite l'hypothèse ديال الاندبندنت فونيمز انوليت ليبوتيز ديال free variations بقات لي une autre hypothèse غنهضروا عليها دابا. So the first thing that you need to do is to see the difference between the two sounds that you are comparing. You see? So here we are comparing the sound r with the sound ch. Okay? الغين والخاء. Because this is what we hear here. Okay? So what's the difference between the two? R, put your finger here. R, there is vibration. So it's voiced. R is voiced. Voiceless. Is voiceless because when you sleep, that's voiceless. You are voiceless. Okay? So this is the idea. A voiced sound and a voiceless sound. Good. What we are expecting is that because sounds, as I told you, like human beings, they influence each other. Je me pose la question, علاش voiced و voiced وكنكتبهم بلا même façon ونفس الحرف. One possible answer is that r is always the neighbor of a voiced consonant and ch is always the neighbor of a voiceless consonant. So you have here r. Anyway, r is at the beginning. هيا نخليوها at the beginning. ما قبل منها حتى شي حاجه. دونك هذه هي الحرف الاصلي راه هو هذا. مي لاحظوا معايا فوقاش ما كان هذا الحرف قبل منه واحد الفويسليس كونسونانت كيتبرونسا فويسليس. لاحظوا معايا ب فويسليس حتى هذا كنقولوا بخاتيك ماشي بغاتيك. لاحظوا معايا غ هنايا ماشي فوندغ it's vendre غ. علاش؟ because this is voiced. there is vibration, it's voiced. لاحظوا croissant ديال سميه croissant خ because is voiceless. What's the conclusion here? The conclusion is that the sound r is pronounced as ch whenever it occurs after a voiceless consonant. Intisar, professor, please explain semantics. For your S6 students, I need look, Intisar. I make a difference. I respond to the majority. I cannot respond to one because I cannot find 7, 8, 10 requests for phonology and one request in 1 week for semantics and pragmatics. That does not. So if the group agrees, tell me. If there are enough people to request this live session on semantics and pragmatics, with great pleasure. I haven't received anything from you. Except on marginal cases, you see, so I think you need to do that. Intisar, صافي. If you would like me to talk about semantics and pragmatics, make a request like the other people, and I act upon requests for these live sessions. Okay? Nice. Let me go back again. They know. المشكل دابا they know that they have this channel, they know they have the other one, and I am free. Whoever asks me, راه هادشي اللي كنقول لكم اللي كنديروا دابا في الفونيتكس في الفونولوجي والسيت راه درتوه في S1. لمن درتو؟ My students who asked me to do it and I did it. But I have to find enough requests so that I can go live. هذا سهل، هذه باينه. You see? Very good. Okay. يلا نمشيو لهذه. Anyway, just to place a comment like that in the middle of a session of phonology, no, you could at least have sent me a message. You and your friends, you could have sent me a message as a group or multiple messages. I can do that, but to come in the middle of the live session on phonetics or phonology and then you will say semantics and pragmatics for your students, no, that's not good. Okay, so let me do it again here. Let me come back to this. Well, so we say, wait a minute. Sorry, I am distracted by the comments, so I will not look at them. And here, are, in fact, a difference between what is voiced and what is voiceless. And r here is devoiced, it loses voice and it becomes voiceless when it occurs after voiceless consonants. Okay, after voiceless consonants. So we say that kh, this one, kh, okay, is a derived sound from r. So we have this sound, which is the basic one, the r, غ. ها la preuve. La preuve c'est que هذا ما معه حتى شي حاجة. ما معه la voiceless هو غ. Okay, so we say that r is what? R is a voiced consonant, and it exists in a number of environments. For example, it exists at the beginning of the word. It exists here, for example, and it may exist in the middle. So it's free somehow. It's free means it can be found in different places. Okay, good. What we can do is, you see, wait a minute. Now, what we can do now is just move on to the status of r and kh. Can we say that r and kh are independent phonemes? I repeat, can we say that r and kh are independent phonemes? احنا جايين نسي أخطر. احنا جايين. Okay. So r and kh are not independent phonemes because we don't have evidence. We don't have a mnemonic pair. On the contrary, what we have is a sound that changes its identity, that changes its shape in specific contexts. Here, the specific context is that after the voiceless stop. After the voiceless stop. Okay? So we say that we have a phoneme r. باش عرفنا هذا phoneme? Because it occurs in many environments, the master. Okay? I wanted to find, but let's not go outside of the data. القاعده كتقول الا كان مينيمال بير راه فونيمز، ما كاينش مينيمال بير كنشوفوا اللي عنده بزاف د الانفايرمنتس اللي ماشي محصور في واحد لونفيرونمون في الانفايرمنت واحد. It's elsewhere. That's true. R is here, but kh is always after voiceless stops. So we say that kh actually normally it's a r. It just happens that r is influenced by voiceless stops. You understand or no? So we say that kh is not a phoneme. We say r. Yes, we say kh is an allophone. Allophone. In fact, r is also an allophone, but the one that is a real phoneme is r. So what we have here, just to make life easy for you, let me just make life easy for you. So here we have two sounds. Okay, بلاتي لاتي نديروا واحد اللعيبه هنايا. اوكي عندي هذا فوالا وهذا. Nice. Okay. What's this? What's this? A pen. Just imagine we have something that changes colors. This is a pen. Yes or no? And this is another pen. Fine? So when this pen exists near this pen, okay, one of them, for example, this one here becomes blue. How? You understand? It's the sound changes its features because they occur near another sound. It's like a chameleon. It's influence, that's true. You know what a chameleon is? What is a chameleon in Moroccan Arabic? I don't know. سي جمال, we are here, you are here. How are you, my friend? امتى نحتفلوا بك سي جمال دكتورة ان شاء الله very soon. Spider-Man, I am not aware of the Spider-Man, but yeah, الحربة, that's true. So that chameleon, if you put a chameleon on a green surface, its color changes, becomes green. And if you put it on a blue surface, okay, I don't know, Sizubere, I don't know that word at all. We say theta. In my variety, we say theta, واللي هي theta. Well, nice. So I think this is the best way. You listen to me, my friends. The best analogy, I guess, to understand the difference between a phoneme and allophone is the example of a chameleon. Okay? If you put a chameleon on a green surface, its color changes green. Yes or no? If you put it on a white surface, well, yeah, it can turn white. And if you put it on a blue surface, it can turn blue, and so on and so forth. My question is, if you take one chameleon, we have just one chameleon, just one. You put it on a green surface and it becomes green. And you take it and you put it on a blue surface and it becomes blue. Is it the same chameleon or not? Answer, yes, of course. The chameleon has not changed. What has changed? Its characteristics, its shape. Not shape, it's color. Okay? It's color. وكذلك الألوفون. شنو هو الألوفون? The allophone is just the color of the phoneme. It's a different form of the phoneme. Why do we have different forms of a phoneme? So we have a different form of a phoneme because there is a neighbor that influences it. Okay, like the green surface influencing the chameleon, the original color of the chameleon. So think of the French R as a chameleon. You put it on the green surface, which is voiceless, and it becomes voiceless. Do you understand now the difference between a phoneme and an allophone? Yes or no? It's chameleon. The chameleon, let's call it a phoneme. When you put it on a green surface, it's an allochameleon. Allochameleon. It means it's allo. هي واحد, it's a different shape of something, a different color of something. That's very interesting. Look at Abdul Karim Al-Alami, and I like that. Yes. If you put water in a cylinder and cylinder, الأسطوانة, the water will have a cylindric shape. Yes or no? Is it still water or has it changed? No, it's still water, but this time it has the shape. If you put it in a box which is square, is it still water? Yes, it is. Okay, but this time it has changed the shape. So I hope that this example of a chameleon and of water will help you understand the difference between a phoneme and an allophone. Okay? Hello, Professor. I hope you're doing well. Please, if you don't mind, when you have finished the lesson, to take a little bit of your time to explain us the chapter of discussion in a research paper. But, there is a video on this that where there is enough detail. I think. I don't know if I think it was a live video, and it's still on your academic companion on the YouTube page. And see, Mohammed, you can go and watch it, and you have all the details there. See, Mohammed, all the details. So please go, Mr. Ahmed Mohammed, please go. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, shall I assume now that you know the difference between a phoneme and an allophone? Yes. Okay. مزيان. Now, because some of you asked me about phonological rule, let's know how to do it now. Okay, let's do it here. So we have, we have the sound R and the sound H. And in French, we know that this one here derives from this. So this is the original, and this is the derivative, the one that derives. So we say that both these and these are two allophones of the same phoneme. R and H are two allophones of the same phoneme. I repeat, R and H are two allophones of the same phoneme. Now, after this question, usually which one is the phoneme? Which was this one here. ولكن فاش كنكومباريو هذا مع هذا في الداتا راه في الاول كنقولوا دي ار allophones بجوج بهم. غير هو واحد في ان environnement restreint واحد في ان environnement اللي هو plus vaste. Okay? So we say that شوفوا معايا عافاكم my friends, this is very important. Phonemes are always represented between two slashes. So whenever you see this, it's for the phoneme. Okay? These are for the phoneme. Allophones, علاش allophones? Because allophones are actually the phonetic shape. It's how they are actually heard. You see how they are actually represented. So you say, so an allophone is always represented between square brackets. دائما هذه allophones هذه phonemes. علاش? Can I say why? Just for you to understand. Do you remember in mathematics you have the two slashes which were referred to as la valeur absolue, القيمة المطلقة. راه هي هذه لأن a phoneme here, when you put a phoneme here, it means it's the absolute form. يعني قبل ما نحط هذا الفونيم في الداتا. Voilà. When it's put in data, it has actual realizations. So it can have this shape here. In our example here, in our French example, let me just introduce to you these rules. Okay. So in plain English, some exams, in some professors might ask this question: write the rule in plain English and then formally. So let's write it in plain English. We say that ch and r are allophones of the same phoneme, while ch is or always occurs after a voiceless consonant, comma, r has a wider distribution. It can be found at the beginning, after voiceless consonants, etc. Okay? Not voiceless, after voiced consonants, after vowels, at the end of the word, the beginning of the word, etc. But it's always ch when it occurs after voiceless consonants. Nathalie Leblanc has written the rule. It's an explanation actually, it's not a rule. The rule is what Nathalie has written. R is realized as ch when it occurs after voiceless consonants. You see? And r is realized as r elsewhere. Very interesting. Very. عافاكم copy Nathalie's analysis, Nathalie's answer to this question. You see? R is realized as ch when it occurs after voiceless consonants. And r is realized and it is realized as r elsewhere. Thank you. Elsewhere means elsewhere. We say that it has a wider distribution. This is one way of producing the rule in plain English. Okay, plain English. And the formal rule should be something like this. لاحظوا معايا ناتالي عافاكم كتبت لنا the غ. شوفوا الأول عافاكم. The غ يعني she refers to the phoneme. غ هي القيمة المطلقة اللي هو الفونيم. غ has two realizations, has two shapes. It's realized as خ between square brackets, and it is realized as غ between square brackets. Donc كاين الفرق بين هاد غ هذا وهذا. This is the phoneme. This is the allophone. The allophone here in the data we have just seen happens to have the same shape as the allophone. هنا غير how it is pronounced. And a phoneme is the smallest unit of sound that changes meaning in language. For example, صحيح هذا الشيء أحلام صحيح هذا الشيء اللي قلتي. An allophone is a variation c'est vrai, mais il faudrait peut-être dire is a variant of a phoneme that does not change meaning, of course. For example, the P in Spain and the P in pin are allophones. I agree with you. We'll come to the explanation as a second example of aspiration in English. Okay, nice. Now, let's write the rule very quickly because many of you asked about the rule. So I have to write the rule and then leave. Not leave, man. Not leave. Go to the second example. Leave. Okay. So we have the phoneme R. Let me write the rule now. Yeah. R. It's the phoneme. دائما this phoneme شوفوا عفاكم is realized as كنكتبوها هكذا in flash. Okay. Is realized as. Fine. How many possibilities do we have here? How many possibilities do we have here? We have two possibilities. That is to say, two pronunciations. That is to say, two allophones. So when we have possibilities, it can be two, it can be more. When we are talking about possibilities, هذه هنا, هذه هنا, هذه هنا, we open a brace like this. شوفوا عفاكم. Whenever you see this, it means you have possibilities. Fine? I repeat, this brace notation is one way of indicating possibilities here. Fine? So we say R is realized as, and then as what? As this and this and this. In our case, we have just as this and this. So it's realized as, look at this, as R. It's the same. But here it has the status of a phoneme, and here it's found in the data. This is found in the data in this shape. In some نسبقوا الأخرى أحسن. Usually هذيك الإلسوير كنخليوها لتحت. Yeah. My God. And then we have so sorry, I think I have a pen that anyway, I will choose another one. I hope it's going to do the job. Very good, yes. So you have what is left? هنا كنديروا واحد سلاش هكا. The slash is one way of saying in this context. So when you have the slash, it means in this context. R is realized as in the following choices, in the following possibilities, in the following situations. It's realized as kh before or after a consonant which is minus voiced, and then you put a dash here. كديروا واحد الشريطة هكا. علاش؟ لأن هذه this one means that it exists here. It means that kh is here. And this one is the consonant like p, p, kh, p, kh, t, kh. Fine? T, kh. I hope you understand me. So we say r is realized as kh, okay, in the following environment. Okay, you have a consonant which is voiced. بحال دابا عندي ب خ ت and then k, خ. All these هذا كيتبرونسا خ. So these هادو إلا لاحظتوا كاملين they are consonants minus voiced. وهذا اللي درنا اللي حطيناه هنا هو غ. غ اللي كيولي خ هنايا. دونك هو هذا. Okay? And it's realized as غ كنكتبو elsewhere. علاش elsewhere? علاش elsewhere? Elsewhere because as I said it does not have just one environment, it has many environments. Okay? If you understand this, type 1 please. اللي فهم اكتب لي 1. مزيان. Very good. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. Let's say, oh my god. تسمحوا لي الله يخليكم نقلب على هذيك ستيلو اللي مشى لي هنايا. Sorry. One little moment please. I think that's the only one that can show clearly the writing. Okay. Here it is. نقرب هذا الشيء هنا. Voilà. So just imagine I have this. And then I have let's base our discussion now on the first pair and the first two words باش ما يتخلطوش minimal pair and with this. So if we look at the pronunciation of t here and t here and the pronunciation of k here and k here, notice also please that this is still the same as this because the pronunciation we write both as k like this in pronunciation. So we don't care about how things are written because normally here I should have written this in IPA, International Phonetic Alphabet. Okay or not okay? So let's consider the pronunciation of these. So here you have the first word. Look at how I pronounce t. In the first word, it's time. T plus h plus I'm. I leave a puff of air after I pronounce t. Can I do the same with split, the t of split? No. You will feel this. Time, what time is it? I will split, not split, time. You see? The same thing for car. He has a good car. But we don't say k like when we pronounce book. He has a nice book. It's not he has a nice book. No. Unless you have an urgent need to cough, then you say book, and then if you are 18 and saying book. But in language, no, we don't say that. So you have car, but we have book. You have time, but you have split, etc. Okay, nice. Okay, so what do we have here actually? And of course, you have important. شوفوا لي important. Do we say شوفوا لي important. Look at p here. It's important. It's not important. It's important. It's very important. You see, that's native like. See, so important here is also pronounced with a puff of air. The rule les Français Les Français, je ne pense pas. Split, perhaps they insert a schwa, not it's a schwa in some dialects, of course. Never mind. This is a phenomenon that we find in English, voiceless consonants, and fortunately we have only three in English. Three voiceless stops in English. P, t, k, p, t, k, p, t, k. When these voiceless stops p, t, k occur at the beginning of a syllable, they are pronounced with this extra puff of air. For example, the t of time, does it occur at the beginning of a syllable? Yes, because the beginning of a word is necessarily the beginning of a syllable. So we say time. Split, is t at the beginning of a syllable? No, it's at the very end. So it's not pronounced with this extra puff of air. Car, is it at the beginning of a syllable? Yes. Book, is it at the beginning of a syllable? No. لاحظوا معايا علاش important فيها الاسبيريشن. Even if it's not the beginning of the word, but it's at the beginning of a syllable. علاش? Because they important. Pour is the, so you have im and then pour and then tent. You see? So here it's still at the beginning of a syllable. This process in English, this process in English, شوفوا my friends, الله يجزيكم بخير. And I know that there are people who know things very well. Alors, bien sûr, il est assujetti à une exception. هاد لا ريغل هادي بيان سور ما كدارش الا كانت لا فويال نون ستريسي بيان سور الا ما كانش ستريسد فاول راه ما كنديروش هذا ولكن واش do you think it's good to say it now our focus is not on aspiration per se. Our role is to explain the rule there first. Okay, nice. But I will come to that. But I just want to have a burden. I don't want to have a burden on these students. Okay, nice. Some of them are still grappling with these things. That's the reason why. And this has implications. If you are not a teacher yet, then this has implications for you as a teacher. You need to find a way of going, from the easiest to the most difficult. If we say rules at once, they will not be digested. It's like putting a lot of food in your mouth to swallow. It's hard to swallow. Never mind. So here we have a rule. هاد لا رègle سميتها في لا برونونسياسيون معروفة في الأنجلي. It's called aspiration. Aspiration means what? Means you pronounce voiceless stops like p, t, k. You pronounce them with an extra puff of air. It means you say p, t, and k. When? At the beginning of a syllable. There is this important, but there is also intelligent. The T of intelligent. شوفوا لي الفيرست T of intelligent مع last T of intelligent. Intelligent. You see? Intelligent. Why? It's because we say so it's the second syllable. It's at the beginning of the second syllable. So it's a syllable. Very good. So here we have this process called aspiration, and in phonetics, it's usually written by writing a sound like P with a little h up, small h up, okay? So this is, this is an aspirated P. So we are talking about the process of aspiration. Okay, now let's move on, please. So here we say, bon. Let me introduce a new term, please. I need your ears here. I need you to concentrate, please. Okay. You have party, party. And then you have party with a small h. And then, okay. Okay, let's just, party. Let's write car again. And let's have a word like seek. I have a question for you, my friends. I have, yeah, thank you, Uthman, who has shown, that he is all ears. I am introducing a concept that some of you know, but they don't know what that actually means. Party, car, seek. Is there a way I can replace p of party with a simple p without violating a pronunciation rule? In other words, okay, forget about this. يلا نركزوا على هادو. عاد نجيو هذا. This is k and this is k. بجوج بيهم it's k. Okay? So this one is car, it's aspirated, and this is seek, it's not aspirated. This is syllable initially at the beginning of the syllable. This is at the end of the syllable. Now, the question is, can an aspirated consonant be in the same position as an unaspirated consonant? The answer is no, this is not the case. In other words, we will never, in English, we will never find a voiceless consonant, a voiceless stop at the end of the syllable, which is aspirated. And we can never find a word at the beginning of a syllable, okay, especially now I will just put this bracket, especially when the vowel is strong and it has stress, it's strong. ماشي شفا باش نتفاهموا، لأن potential ماشي ما نقدروش نقولوا potential، it's potential. لا فويل ما بيناش، حنا كنهضروا على لي فويل اللي هما دي فويل سترونغ اللي هما عندهم ستريس بيان سور. So في هذا الكونتكست هذا we cannot, while we should have an aspirated voiceless stop, we cannot have an unaspirated voiceless stop. What does it mean? It means, so that's the point I am trying to make. It means where one allophone hit p and p are allophones of the same phoneme. They are allophones of the same phoneme. Where p occurs, the other one does not occur. You understand or no? بحالها بحال مثلا عندي cats, عندي dogs. This one is s, this one is z. Now, can I have a word that ends in a voiced consonant with s? No, I can't. I hope you understand me. Say yes if you understand me, my point. Ask me to repeat if you think I should repeat. يلا دغيا. Okay, very good. You understand. دابا سمعوا لي le terme. We say اسمعوا. We say that p and p. Okay, Zubair asked me to repeat. مزيان. I like this. You ask me to repeat, I can repeat. No problem. Let's say you have d, a word that ends in d, like word, let's say, word like this. اش كندير انا؟ Well, I'm not organized here, okay? So let me rewrite it. So you have word like this, and then you have bag, and then you have wall, okay? And then you have square, pair, let's say pair of shoes, for example. And then you add the plural. Is there a possibility for us to write, to pronounce, to insert s here? واش ممكن اس هنا ولا لا؟ جاوبوني. S is not possible. Okay? Nice. So this one, there is no possibility for us to pronounce the plural as s. It's consistently and systematically as z. Okay? Now, let me move. I will not write anything here. Now, I don't know, clip, let's say, clip. Flat, in American English, the word for apartment. Okay, trick. I have another question for you. Yeah, because I'm just representing PTK here. That's true. So that Ahmed is still with us. Thank you. Okay, good. So you have clip, flat, trick. Is there a possibility for the plural here to be pronounced as z? No, that's not possible. I repeat from the beginning. Is there a possibility for the plural here to be pronounced as s? Answer, no. Is there a possibility this time for here to have z? The answer is no. Which means that s and z, which are allophones of the same phoneme, it's like they belong to the same house, and when they get out of the house, each of them goes to his own job. It's a division of labor. You understand? It's like the father phoneme says, انت ولدي اس، انت قابل ليا شنو؟ قابل ليا هذوك الفويسلس، وانت قابل ليا هذوك اللي voiced. It's a division of labor. So we say that وفي الاخر في الليل يعني فاش كيكملوا كاع في العشيه وهذا كيرجعوا لديورهم. So we say كيتعاونوا هادو س and z كيتعاونوا. We say that they are in complementary distribution. هذا كيكمل الجوب ديال هذا. It's like s does 50% of the job and z does the other 50% of the job. So allophones are in complementary كيتعاونوا بيناتهم، واحد خدام في الريستورون وواحد خدام في شي بلاصه اخرى. complementary distribution، كل واحد والتخصص ديالو. واحد كيقري linguistics وواحد كيقري littérature. Okay? Of course, Sumia, I told you, that life is easier than you have that. So we say that these allophones are in complementary distribution. Why complementary? Because they complement each other, and they never occur. Neither of them does the job of the other. كل واحد والسيكتور ديالو. Okay, very good. Okay, so we say that they are in complementary distribution. S and z are allophones of the same phoneme. عافاكم. أي حاجة فيها allophones of the same phoneme إلا وهذوك allophones are in complementary distribution. Même, can we say that in French, r and ch are in complementary distribution? Yes, they are in complementary distribution. Why? Simply because they are allophones of the same phoneme. So whenever we have allophones of the same phoneme, means they are in complementary distribution. It's like a father having two sons, who help him, who cater for him, and one of them goes to this village to work and the other one goes to the other village to work. You got that or no? Yes. لا سي عبد الحكيم لا هذاك you are more talking about free variation in that case. هنا on n'a pas parlé de ça. لا allophones بالضرورة يكونوا governed by a rule. بحال شي واحد بحال الرول هو ذاك الاب اللي كيقول له انت غتمشي لهنا قابل ليا الفويسليس، انت ولدي قابل ليا الفويس. هذا هو الرول. So two allophones are governed by a rule. Yes, they are rule governed, and they are in complementary distribution. And because they are in complementary distribution, we say that they occur in a mutually exclusive environment. ما عرف واش درتوا هذا الكونسيبت ولا لا. They are in a mutually exclusive environment where one occurs, the other should never occur. Never occurs. وهما بحال. Complementary distribution, this is the technical word, but some people say that they occur in a mutually exclusive environment. Okay? Si Khalid says, okay, Natalie says, are allophones of the same phoneme? They are in complement. That's true. So allophones are said to be in complementary distribution when their occurrence is predictable and determined by a specific phonological environment. هنا السي خالد, it's one way of saying rule. They are rule governed. Rule governed means there is a rule that says you do this and you do this. لا سمية, they are different. Complementary distribution and free variation بوحدة. Now, okay, can I speak here just to clear this mist from you? Complementary distribution is different from free variation. Here is why. In complementary distribution there is a rule. محكومين بالرول. ما عندكش الحق ولدي مثلا pour un S ديال بلوريال ما عندكش الحق تقرب لفين كاينين voiced ماشي environnement ديالك. You see, free variation, no. Free variation, it means there is no rule. أصلا le mot free, it means it's not governed by any rule. So free variation is not by a rule, it's just sociolinguistic. قال and قال, ça dépend de la région, ça dépend de المستوى الدراسي, je pense, je ne sais pas. Mais bon, كاينين دي dialectes اللي ربما كينطقوا القلب وقلت لك وقلتي لي. كاين اللي كيقول لك القلب قلتي لي. واش كاين شي رول هنا؟ لا. الا كان شي رول غيكون ما يكونش linguistic. Do you understand? So free variation does not involve linguistic rule. And of course you have altlic, that's true for some dialects, that's true. Okay, that's free variation. Okay, nice. In complementary distribution, no, there is a rule. ما عندهمش الحق يتبرونونساو فين ما بغاو. مثلا in free variation, اسمحوا لي بلاتي wait. So we have قال and then قال. أنا عندي هنا ق, عندي هنا ق. واش هذا ماشي same environment? It's the same environment. Okay, فين هي complementary? They are not complementary. هادو كيهرفوا على البلايص ديال بعضياتهم. You see, ما كيما complementary ما والو هنايا. There's nothing complementary here. But here no. وقول هذا يقرب هنا. No, the father will say no because there is a rule. Okay, good. All right. Okay, nice. So it's good that we have talked about the notion of an allophone in relation to the phoneme. In other words, اللي ما فهمش هذا الشيء هما الالوفونز، هما سو سون دي فيرسيون، لي فيرسيون ديال الفوني. صافي. فيري جود. اوكي. درنا جوج سوايع. I think we can continue tomorrow. I am also tired. الله يجزيكم بخير، غتسمحوا لي بزاف. I'm a bit tired, so we can continue إن شاء الله غدا. Yeah, Khalid, in complementary distribution, one allophone never appears in the environment of the other and vice versa. Exactly what I've said. Thank you so much, Khalid, for making this point this precise and this direct. Mustafa, thank you. Thank you, Mustafa. Ahlam says, in like in the context where P occur, that's true. That's true. Vice versa. In this sense, allophones are said to be in, yes, exactly, Ahlam. So you can look at Ahlam's comment as well. Yeah, absolutely. Finally, before I leave, this is a message to the people who say to your students, and for me, all Moroccan students are my students. هنايا في سميتو في اللايف. اللي يبغى شي لايف سيشن على شي توبيك، راه غير سهله. انا كنقولها جهارا نهارا. صيفطوا لي في هذا في الانبوكس ديالي في لاباج فيسبوك، وانا الطلبه اللي كتقول لك الطلبه ديالك راه قلتها لهم في القسم. send me a message عباد الله so that I can respond to you. That's all. Life is easy. Why are we complicating life? To come to the live session to tell me have a session that will not influence me. I'm sorry. What? So I am responsive to messages that come on, on Facebook. That's the rule since the channel started to broadcast live. Okay. So I'm really sorry. I hope there will be suggestions. مرحبا بأي suggestion. Okay. أنا فاش كنلقى الناس يعني the recurrent requests, I am responsive to that. سهلة هذه، لا غير اللي كاينة. والله يعاون الجميع، نتمنى التوفيق للجميع إن شاء الله. تنميرتناك. We learned many things today. مرحبا إن شاء الله. Tomorrow we will have more maybe to say. Okay, so inshallah. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best, my friends.